All right, so this is going to be day 10
Yes.
and Amber 10.1 coming up unless there's something else that we should be doing.
I just, I just wanted to say overall, I thought a lot of these were interesting because I feel like usually there's a lot of like seeing. Well, I mean, I think there's a lot of seeing in these two, but there are some where it was like, I obviously was seeing something, but it wasn't in my experience. I just thought that was kind of interesting, but I don't have anything else other than that.
Well, I would say we will see that as we go,
Mhm.
Okay.
and so we can refer back to that. So if when we get to be whatever it is that where this is an example, you can refer back to this and say, well, this is what I was talking about earlier,
Okay.
in case we miss it.
And I would
Sure.
say at the outset here too that I think even if beeps aren't interesting, I think the whole process that we're engaged in, right, is of interest just because it's so rarely done in
Right.
psychology. So whether or not we find anything interesting, I think is sort of secondary to everything else.
Right. Okay.
And I would expand on that to say I would say most of our participants, most DES participants say what they find is not interesting. But I find almost all of it interesting.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just hoping it's not too similar to what we've already.
Not trying to talk you out of the interestingness, Amber, but
Yeah.
I think it's something that's easy to look past or get
Mhm.
distracted by too. So
Okay.
Number one,
Okay. So number one, I was starting to say the word sometimes. Like I was just about to say it. Yeah. And then, so at the moment of the beep, I was physically smiling, and my experience was mostly of like saying the word sometimes. As context, I was quoting a video, and it was like a joke, like it was like a reference, like a joke. And in the video, the guy, he says like, sometimes my genius is frightening. That's what he says. So that's what I was saying, like just as a joke. And yeah, it was almost ironic, like the way he said it, but that's just context.
so are you saying the word sometimes, or are you saying the phrase sometimes my genius is whatever the rest of
Yeah,
it is?
I'm saying the phrase, but in my experience at that moment, it was really just of the word sometimes. Because I also said the phrase wrong. I didn't have the right quote. But really at that moment, it was just the word sometimes.
So now let me make sure I understand that. So does it, at the moment of the beep, does it seem to you like you're saying a word or like you're saying a sentence? Sometimes my genius is frightening.
A word at that specific moment.
Okay. And then you said that you were physically smiling. Is
Yeah.
that in your experience or is that a fact of the universe? I'm smiling and I know I'm smiling and I am smiling, but I'm not really experiencing that.
I could feel myself kind of like starting to smile and laugh.
I could feel myself or I was feeling myself.
Oh, I was feeling it. Sorry. Yeah.
So I am feeling myself smiling.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And and I think you said I'm more so saying the word than I am feeling myself smile, but
Yes.
and is that 60-40, 90-10?
Probably more like 90-10, 80-20 kind of range.
So quite a bit more of the speaking.
Yeah.
Okay. And is the speaking allowed? I'm saying it aloud
Yes.
to somebody?
Yes.
And is that somebody present to you or is this
No, it was just me speaking. Yeah.
so this I'm in a social situation, somebody else is there,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't experience myself as talking to that person. Is that right?
Yeah, at that moment, no.
So this was something like a monologue in a social situation.
I guess so, yeah, because the joke was really my own. Um, that's an interesting question. But yeah, at that moment, no, it wasn't really like I was actively thinking or actively really aware of saying this to somebody, I was more actively aware of like the reference and the joke than I was about the other person.
Okay. And the original of this,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes my genius is frightening or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That's some video or some
Mm-hmm.
something.
Yeah.
And so I take it you to be loosely speaking, at least quoting that.
Yeah.
But are you specifically trying to reference that, or is that?
Yeah, I was trying to reference that because we had just watched it. Because I was thinking about it and I was thinking about how funny that video is, and we had just watched it, so I was referencing it. I don't even know why. I can't even tell you why I was referencing that or the context of the situation. I just remember that I was, and then the beep had caught me right at the word, like right before I had started saying the word sometimes. So I was kind of thinking about that.
Okay. And so are you saying the word sometimes, or are you contemplating saying the word sometimes?
I was just starting to say the word sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But it was like my experience was I was like starting to say it, but my experience was me saying it. I think I explained that pretty poorly, like now that I look at my notes. But yeah.
So you experience yourself saying the word sometimes, even though in reality you are only so far saying some or something.
Yeah, like I was just starting to say sometimes. Like I think I was just on the S part of it, maybe.
And what does it mean to say I experience myself as saying the word?
Like okay, I hate to reference this to like TV, but it's almost like I don't want to call it an echo, but it was like because I wasn't speaking yet and I was really thinking about what I was going to say, it was like I was thinking about saying the word sometimes physically before I had said it. Because it was like, I don't know, like, I don't know why I said I was referencing TV. I guess I'm thinking about an example on TV, but that's kind of how I would explain that.
So is this like I'm planfully preparing? I'm experiencing myself as saying sometimes as a way of ensuring that I actually say sometimes, I guess, as a way of a premonition, something like that.
Yeah, and it's like I'm saying it like I'm planning to insert it into the conversation almost strategically, I guess. Maybe that's overcomplicating it, but it almost kind of feels that way. Like I was trying to insert it into what was happening strategically, and also like because it was a reference, but like not that the whole reference was in there. It was just sometimes.
So you do mean this as I am preparing to say sometimes. I experience myself as preparing to say sometimes.
Yeah. Yes, because while the beep was making its sound, because it's like, it kind of like it starts and then it kind of goes. While that was happening, and I was actually turning my chair to turn it off and write this down. I had finished saying the word sometimes. It's kind of, I think that's why I messed that up, because on the onset of the beep, I was starting to say it, but by the time I had turned my chair around to turn it off and write everything down, I had said the word. So that's after the moment.
And the anticipatory sometimes
Mm-hmm.
do you experience yourself as speaking that or hearing that or reading that off of a script somewhere? Or?
Speaking that.
So I experience myself as speaking sometimes, even though I have not yet actually spoken sometimes, when I'm about to speak sometimes.
Yeah, it was almost like my mind was a second ahead, or maybe not even that long, but like my mind was ahead of my physical speaking at that moment.
And is your experience of speaking sometimes, or is your experience of preparing to speak?
Speaking sometimes.
So my experience is out ahead of the real thing.
Yes.
I don't experience myself as preparing. What I experience myself as is as speaking. And it happens to be, in the real world, some kind of a preparation deal because I haven't yet spoken.
Yeah.
Okay. And then somehow I feel myself smiling,
Yeah.
but not much.
Yeah, not much. No. Yeah.
Okay. And what is what do you experience?
It was interesting because it was almost like a smiling as if I was laughing at my own joke, which I do a lot, which is kind of funny. But yeah, it was like I was laughing at myself kind of in a way because I was making a joke or making a reference. And yeah.
So this is not so much a facial experience as the experience of smilefully laughing at myself.
Well, no, I was actually I think I just put too much background onto that. But no, I was actually smiling. Like that was my face. Like I felt it physically.
So I didn't mean to talk you out of, or to try to talk you out of, or whatever, because I understood you to be physically smiling. But the question is whether your experiences of the physical smile, or of the laughing at my own joke.
Oh, it's of the physical smile. Yeah, that whole laughing at my own joke thing is more of a why kind of thing. I was like,
okay.
Yeah. After I said that, I was thinking I'm going too far with that. Yeah.
Okay. And I think I'm good. Cody?
Yep, I'm good as well, actually, for this beep.
Okay.
All right. Beep
Number
number two.
Okay, so beep 2, we were playing a video game. It was Minecraft Dungeons. I don't know if that's relevant. But on that game, there's a lot of settings. Like you can set all kinds of things, and it can take a little while. So at the moment of the beep, I was feeling impatient, like because I just wanted to play. I didn't want to mess with the settings. I just wanted to play, and I was saying, "What are you doing?" Because I wasn't messing with the settings. Someone else was, and also really indiscriminately. I was like, my eyes were pointed at the screen and I was like seeing the screen, but it was super indiscriminate. Like I couldn't, like probably in like the 5% range. That's where that is. But yeah, those things were going on at the moment of the beat.
So just to make sure I'm getting this correctly, Amber, there's sort of 3 things going on that are directly present at the moment of the beep.
Yes.
There's something about, being impatient or wanting to play, the saying, what are you doing, and the seeing of the screen. Is that correct? All those simultaneously present?
Yes.
Okay. And I know the screen is sort of low there in terms of the cut of the pie. Is there anything that is sort of the main part of your experience at the moment?
No, honestly, not really. Yeah.
Okay. So let's kind of just start from the beginning then. So in terms of the impatientness or wanting to play.
Yeah.
How is that present to you?
Almost like a antsy kind of feeling. Like I was, like when we were playing, I was kind of like, I wasn't really sitting upright. I was kind of like lying down-ish sitting. So I was kicking my foot, like I was tapping my foot like that. That wasn't present to me, but that's what I was actually doing. So it was kind of like that kind of feeling, like a very antsy, like kind of like tapping. I'm tapping my pen, but like a tapping feeling like that.
And when you say feeling there, is this more of a bodily sort of thing? Like I'm feeling antsiness in my body, or it could be a lot of different ways that shows up, right?
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I think it was more of a bodily thing because I was definitely like, I was like tapping my foot kind of a thing. I wasn't exactly tapping my foot, but I was kind of like kicking my leg or whatever. It was like a rhythmic tapping to like, because I was like, hurry up, like let's go. I don't know a better way to describe that.
Right. So I don't want to talk you into bodily, right? And we know that experience can be totally disconnected from what's going on, right?
Right.
But the question I have here is in terms of, want to sort of go back to the beginning here. So you mentioned at the start, this was like an impatience or just wanting to play.
Mm-hmm. Well, just wanting to play is more context.
Okay, so
I just wanted to play, so I was impatient. Yeah.
So this is about impatient.
Yeah.
And is there a way to say where this impatience is located?
No, I wouldn't say that.
So this is just I'm impatient, maybe bodily.
Yeah. Experientially, it wasn't really present in anything specific, but physically it was like a fidgeting kind of a thing.
I guess that could also lead me to think this could be a feeling sort of experience, feeling meaning like an affective, emotional sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Is that maybe better than physical?
Yeah. I mean, yes. I think experientially, yes. But in the real world, it was physical. Does that make sense? I don't know if that helped.
And by real world, is that context, or is that to say like there's a part of this that's physical and there's a part of this that's a feeling, or not?
Like as a fact of the universe, my impatience is physical. Like I'll tap things, or I'll fidget with things, or I'll do things like that. But experientially, it wasn't like that.
Experientially, this is a again feeling, but affective sort of.
Yes.
Okay.
So my body is in fact tapping. My leg is vibrating back and forth or whatever. Mm-hmm. But I'm not so much or at all experiencing that. What I'm experiencing is an affective impatience.
Yeah.
And so does that mean that as far as my experience is concerned, this is a mental phenomenon? I'm mentally feeling this, even though my body is obviously doing its tap dance, but
yeah.
But my experience is not bodily, it's mental.
Yeah. At this moment, yes.
Okay. And in terms of the what are you doing? Mm-hmm. Does the beep interrupt you in the middle of that, at the end of that, at the start of that? Where does the...
It's at the end. Actually, I was finished saying it when the beep went off. I was done saying it, but my mind was still kind of in this impatience, but it was still kind of on that, like, what are you doing?
So it's in the real world, right? I've a second ago or a millisecond ago, I've done saying, what are you doing? The beat goes off, but that whole phrase, what are you doing, is present?
Yeah, it's still stuck with me. It's almost like linked to the impatience feeling. They're linked together.
And is it those exact words, like quote, what are you doing, unquote? Mm-hmm. Okay. So it's not just that this is sort of it's more than just that affective impatience you're talking about earlier. There's somehow these words are present to me.
Yes. Yes. After I had said them, I was kind of still stuck with that. I guess thinking, I wouldn't say it was like inner speech. I wouldn't say that, but it was like I was somehow stuck with those words, and those words were attached to the feeling at that moment. They were like together. Like part of it. I don't know if that's a better way to say that.
They're linked together, right? The affective impatience and the what are you doing they're kind of one thing.
Yes.
So I missed a detail that I'd like to clear up for me. Did you originally say out loud, what are you doing? Or is that in inner?
I said it out loud.
And was that saying to, so is the you Amber?
No, it's somebody else.
So I'm saying impatiently to somebody else, what are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And so you said they're not innerly spoken per se, but is there something spoken about this?
No. Well, other than the physical speaking, but no. It was almost like I'd said it and I was still hanging on to it.
And by hanging on in terms of like how that's present, that's where my question is sort of, is this like a speaking sort of a thing, a hearing, a seeing?
Okay, can I explain this metaphorically? Maybe it'll help.
Sure.
So, like, if I were to say the words, right? It's like if I had a word bank and I were saying the words, I would be, like, getting them out of the bank. These words, I said them, but I was still holding on to them. Like, I was holding them still. They hadn't completely left. They were still there. But it wasn't like a physical, like, these words. It was just like they were still there.
Is it the words that are still there? What are you doing? As opposed to some cognitive version of that doesn't include words?
No, it was like that phrase, what are you doing?
Okay.
Because I wasn't really confused. Like, I was aware of what was happening. Like, you're messing with the settings. Like, I knew what you were doing, but it's like, what are you doing? Like, why are you doing that still? I guess it's more, why are you doing that still? Rather than what are you doing? But it was, what are you doing?
And was it originally said in that impatient or accusatory or whatever, what are you doing way?
Yeah, because I was like, it was almost like, what are you still doing? Messing with the settings of this game. Like,
so it's not what are you doing for information, it's what the hell are you doing? What the hell are you still doing?
yeah.
Okay.
Like, why are you still messing with that?
Okay. And do the words that are hanging around still have that flavor to them?
No. They're linked to the feeling. So I don't know if that is the flavor or whatever, but like I would say the feeling and the words were together.
So the original words had a distinct impatient,
Yeah.
unhappy flavor to them,
Yes.
but the words that remain
Mhm.
don't have that. After that, it's just the words.
Yes. Yes. It's just the words and the feeling that I described earlier. But I don't know if that's the same thing or if that's different. Like, I don't know. Like, it's part of that, but I wouldn't say that there's a flavor to it. I would say that it's part of that feeling. Like, it's part of it.
So I guess what I'm trying to get at is that the original words had vocal characteristics, prosody characteristics, but the remembered words or the hanging on words, the lingering words, don't have those same characteristics.
No.
Right?
Yes. Yeah. They don't have the vocal quality to them.
The first words had a edginess to them or a bite to them or whatever.
Yes.
But the words that are remaining don't have that edgy bite to them.
No.
Well, you said they don't have it may not have the same vocal characteristics,
Right.
Amber, but do these words have any sort of bite to them per se at all?
No. They're around with the feeling. Yes. I would say they're more, they're more, I keep saying the same thing over and over. They're connected to the feeling rather than there's like a snippiness with the words specifically. Like they're words connected to this overall idea rather than words that have a thing of their own.
And just to make sure I'm clear, it's that these words, it's not correct to say that what are you doing are the words that I would label the affective impatience, right? That these are the words are directly present and the affective impatience is directly present.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the phrase, yeah.
And the spoken aloud words, what are you doing with the bite to them? I guess what we're calling the bite to them. I'm impatient then, and so when I speak out loud, I am impatient and I speak words with a bite. But half a second later, or whatever it is, I am still impatient. The same impatience is there, and the same words are there, but now the words themselves don't have the bite to them.
Yes. Yeah.
And the seeing,
Mm-hmm.
you said this was like an indiscriminate or a 5 or 10%.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I think I initially said less than 5%.
Okay.
Only because like it was like the screen was this weird like maroonish brown color. It was the color of Minecraft dirt, which is like a weird color, or like brick or something. I couldn't even tell you. It was like this weird color, and yeah, because there was all these little squares and there's all these little things you can select, but that all wasn't there. It was mostly just that color that I was kind of like looking at the screen, trying to like yeah.
So am I just looking at the screen and it happens to be this maroonish brown, or am I seeing maroonish brown and it happens to be the screen?
Yes, I kind of very much distorted it again. I know I've had a lot of these kind of visual distortions, but like, yeah, at this point, because it's so, that's not what I'm paying attention to. It's quite distorted, but it's like very low down there.
And sorry, what's distorted exactly?
Oh, my experience of seeing the screen, like what I'm seeing was distorted. Like it had other things as a part of it, but those again were obliterated. It was just the color.
So at the moment of the beep, I'm just seeing a maroonish brown screen.
Yeah.
Dr. Robert, do you have any questions you want to ask about that?
Well, I know we're down in the last 5% or whatever, but I'm gathering that I see a maroonish brown screen rather than I'm just seeing a Minecraft scene that happens to be sort of mostly maroonish brown, and I'm not really paying attention to it. So I'm not paying attention to the other thing.
I see. Well, the screen was maroonish brown, like the background, but there's like little like squares. It was like this is something you can select, this is something you can select. It was all like that. And those things were all not there. And then the screen was changing. There's a thing highlighting it, like almost like on Zoom, how you have the yellow box highlighting you. It was almost like there was that going on, but that was all not there. It was just the color of the actual, or well, my perceived version of the color of the screen.
So your perception is a simplification of the actual world.
Yes.
Not just, I'm really not paying attention to anything, and I'm going to tell you it's mostly brown.
No, yeah, it's like a super simplification of what I was actually seeing. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Then I'm good.
I'm good too. On to beep 3.
Yep.
Beep 3. Okay, so beep 3 was kind of weird. So I was looking at Twitter. I was just looking at the timeline, and at the moment of the beep, I was like scrolling, and I was seeing like half of a photo of Mariska Hargitay and a black and white, was almost like it was a black and white picture. What I was seeing was like a gray-ish circle, because it's like a profile picture. Yeah, it happens to be a profile picture. So as context, I was more drawn to that circular photo, whatever we would like to call that. And I had obliterated the person in the photo. It was a black and white picture, actually, of Zendaya. It was like almost like a headshot. and there was like they had obviously edited, so the background was solid. It was like this gray color, but I had obliterated her, and I was just seeing the solid color, and I was fixated on that for some reason. And then, yeah, the photo was like up here. So I don't know if that made any sense, but yeah, that's kind of what was going on. Weird.
Well, I need to ask some questions to see whether it makes sense.
Yes.
So I'm seeing a photo of
Mhm.
this person, and the person I don't know. Who's the person?
Oh, Mariska Hargitay. She's from Law and Order.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I don't see the photo as it is. I see the photo grayed out in some way.
Oh, no, that one, I was only seeing like half of it. There are two pictures. There's the photo, and then there's the little profile picture that was like below it. I'm like
And by the
drawing it
little
out.
profile picture, do we mean like a thumbnail or something like that?
No, it's not really a thumbnail. It's just like the way the Twitter interface is it has like, you have like the box that has the tweet like this, and then it has the picture, and then it has the words over here. So this is, I was looking at that gray picture was this, but the other picture was like halfway up the screen, and it was like a big photo because that was something someone had posted. I don't know if that makes sense.
Okay, so tell me again what's in your experience.
Okay, yes, so it was like the half of that picture of one person.
The big
And-
picture.
Yeah, the big picture. It was half because I was moving away from it at that point, but I was still seeing it, like half of it.
So, and
That's
you're
in
seeing,
color.
are you seeing half of it because there's only half of it there, or are you seeing half of it because I've left half of it behind somewhere?
There was more than half of it there, like on my screen. There's more than half of it there. The full picture was not there, but there was, there was more than half of it there, but I was really only seeing about half of it.
So I'm seeing less than is there,
Mm-hmm.
and what's there is less than the whole picture.
Yes.
Okay.
Like her head was not in it. But I understood it to be her because I had seen it before this moment, and I understood it to be her, and I was just seeing like the bottom half of it. I don't know. That was weird. And then then you have the circle.
You're seeing that too.
Yes.
And are you seeing that the way it is?
No, that one is actually a black and white picture of Zendaya, but Zendaya is not in the picture. It's just the background of the picture. Like it was Zendaya against a grayish, I don't know why I say black and white, but like a grayish kind of scale color, a solid color. And it was like I had removed Zendaya and I just had the background there in the circle.
So you've removed Zendaya totally from that picture.
Yes. From that little circle, yes.
And is your experience, I'm seeing this circle without Zendaya, rather than I'm just not paying attention to the circle?
No, I'm seeing a gray circle. It wasn't that specific with Zendaya in it. I actually had to look back at it and be like, who's in there? Because I was trying to make sure I could accurately write down my notes about it. And I was like, who's in there? And I realized it was Zendaya later. So in my experience, no, the whole idea of Zendaya being in the picture and all that stuff like that, that wasn't there.
Okay.
Not like the first picture.
So I'm relatively clearly seeing a small round gray circle
Mm-hmm.
picture,
Mm-hmm.
but what's actually there is a picture of Zendaya.
Yes.
But I have erased Zendaya, and all I'm seeing is a gray circle.
Yes.
Okay.
And that is your experience, right, Amber? What I mean by that is just saying in terms of I'm seeing a picture of Zendaya, but what I see is gray, or is it I see a gray circle?
I am okay. My experience is I'm seeing a gray circle, solid gray circle, but actually it's a picture of Zendaya with a gray background.
Yeah, okay.
And then at the same time, I am seeing a half a picture.
Yes.
And in reality, it's 2/3 of a picture or 3/4 of a picture or something.
Yeah, whatever, yeah.
But it's more than half.
Yes.
So what I see is a truncated version of what is already a truncated version of what's on the screen.
Mm-hmm.
And so I understand that what's happening is that this image is scrolling up, or this image is appearing on the screen. Is that right?
The image is disappearing. It's going away slowly.
So the image is going away. It used to be whole, and now it's going away. And it's going away so that it's now only 2/3 or whatever there.
Yeah, there's no head visible in the image, yeah.
So is it going away, going up?
Yeah.
So it's going away, going up, and so the head is sort of disappearing off the top of the
Yes.
top of the screen camera.
Yeah.
Okay. But what's happened is that it's going up, and so far it's only this far up, but you see it as if it's not that far up, something like that. Is that right?
Yeah, yes, physically I'm certain that the head was at least gone by that point, because it was like that picture was like a stand, it was like it wasn't like a headshot. That one was like maybe from the knees up. Kind of an interesting picture right now that I think about it. Yeah, it was like from the knees up. Like if you were walking down the street and someone took a picture of you. Like that's what that picture was. So at that point, yeah, the head was not in it. The head.
So in the real world, the head is not in it. In Amber's world, neither the head nor the neck is in it. Something like that.
Yes.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
And so this is something like Amber is seeing what is about to happen on the screen. What's about to happen on the screen is it's going to get that far up, and then it would match what Amber's seeing.
Uh-huh. Yep.
Is that right?
Yes.
And which of these things is more present to you, the gray circle or the half picture?
The gray circle.
By a little bit or a lot?
Maybe just a little bit more, because it was like at the moment my focus was starting to shift because I was moving to the next thing. So I was kind of leaving the picture and going on to the next thing, and the next thing that happened to catch me was that gray circle, even though that wasn't really relevant, but that was kind of the next thing that was catching my attention.
So I want to make sure I understand the big picture of it.
Uh-huh.
So is it the case that I experience myself as seeing the screen?
Yes.
But in reality, what I'm seeing is not exactly what the screen is. I'm seeing the screen as if the picture had already gone farther up the screen.
Yes.
So it's not like I don't experience myself as imagining seeing the screen. I experience myself as seeing the screen as it is. But in reality, I can say, well, the screen isn't really as it is. I'm not seeing the screen as it is. I'm seeing the screen somewhat more truncated.
Yes.
Okay. And slightly more than that, I see the gray circle, and that's not as it is either. What I see is a gray circle, but what's there is a picture of Zendaya.
Yes.
So I feel myself shifting my attention from the gray circle to the big picture, and neither one of them is correct.
Yeah, it's more from the big picture to the circle. But it was like, I don't know how important it is that I'm really specific about things that I was looking at and all that. But from the big picture, my focus wasn't even on the entire picture. It was on like her coat. She's wearing a really nice coat, and it was the attention was Mariska Hargitay's coat. Like it wasn't those words, but it was like that's what it was. That's what I was focused on was her coat. It wasn't just coat. It wasn't just whatever. It was her specific coat, and then to that gray circle it was going like that was it was like going on.
So does that mean that I zoomed in on the picture is sort of all there, but I zoomed in on her coat and that's all I'm seeing?
I'm seeing the full half of the picture, but I'm like almost more interested in the coat. I don't know if that's relevant though, but I'm more interested in the coat out of this entire half of the picture I'm seeing. I'm interested in like the bottom of this coat because it kind of like flared out like that. So it was kind of nice. It was a nice color, but I was like, that's what I was interested in. I didn't annihilate anything else. But that's what I was interested in. It was like this and then.
So you annihilated the top sixth of the circle or whatever it is. And my interest is mostly in the coat of this picture.
In this specific picture, yes, the coat. In the overall experience, my interest was mostly on the gray circle. Yeah, sorry. This one's a little confusing because there's a lot of pictures going on. So, but yeah.
And is your interest primarily in the coat or in the color of the coat?
The coat.
And the entire coat or just the bottom of the coat?
Just the bottom of the coat.
The flare or whatever.
Yeah, it kind of, yeah.
And I'm not too sure if this is important, Amber, so feel free to correct me here, but when you're the real seeing, right, on the screen, is that in motion when you're looking at it? So like, you know, when the beep's going off, the picture is moving upwards, or at the moment of the beep, is it that I've scrolled and, you know?
Right. My experience, it wasn't moving.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, I'm good.
Yeah, and so am I. Okay, B4.
Okay, so beep 4, I was leaning over to pass my phone to somebody, and I had physically, to start context, I had physically like frozen the video, so I was holding my thumb on it, but I was physically passing my phone, and at the moment of the beep, in the corner of my eye, like almost like at the edge of my visual field, I could see this, where what I had paused, it was like this red background with these black circles on it. And in the actual world, there's more context. In the actual world, the black circles had writing on it. I think it was somebody's, whatever, like their tag or their logo or something. But in my experience, what I was just seeing the red and the black, and it was really at the edge of my experience. Like it was just kind of like catching the very bottom of my visual field. And that's kind of it. That's pretty much it. There's nothing else. Yeah.
So this is I'm seeing the action that I'm doing, right? Like I'm seeing my real phone and stuff that I'm passing right to my friend. Yeah,
like I'm seeing like my phone kind of, yeah, the motion of my phone is what's catching my eye almost. Yeah. And it's the red that's there too, or whatever the colors I said. Yeah.
So is this more of seeing the motion or more of seeing the thing that's on my phone screen, the red and the black?
Mm-hmm. I'm seeing that kind of moving. I don't know if that helps.
Let me back up here and try to figure out what's, so you said this is in the corner of your eye.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Is there anything more to say about that in terms of my experience? Like there's something important about the location of this, or that's just sort of, that's the facts of the universe, that this is where the phone is and that's what I'm seeing?
In my experience, it was like almost like it had just kind of got its way into my visual, even though my visual, what I was looking at, I wasn't paying attention to, but it's like that's kind of, it was coming into it. Not coming into it because it wasn't coming into it, but it was like it just like scratched the surface. It like moved into the barrier of, moved into this boundary or something. I don't know. Those are all explanatory words, but it wasn't really central. It wasn't a huge aspect, but it was just right at the bottom. Like it had almost skimmed it. I don't know. Something like that.
Okay. And do you see anything else? Because obviously, right, like if this is at the bottom, there's other things, but I take you that this is mostly about the phone.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's mostly about the red and black. It's not even really about the phone. It's mostly about that red screen with the black dots kind of going that way.
So as far as your experience at the moment of the beep is concerned, is this I see red and black?
I see a red screen with like these black circles on it moving like in a direction, like moving on like the bottom left of my visual square, I guess, my visual.
And do I see the whole visual square, or is that a fact of the universe? My retina,
Oh.
It's in the bottom half of my, I guess, top half of my retina or whatever, but it's at the edge of my retina in the center of my experience?
I experienced it, yeah, at the like the bottom left edge of my experience.
So
like everything else.
I experienced this red with black circles moving through the bottom left-hand corner of my visual field.
Yeah.
And the fact of the universe is I'm moving it.
Yes.
I'm handing this phone to my friend or
Mhm.
relative or whatever.
Mhm.
But that's not part of my experience.
No.
The only thing that's part of my experience is the moving red and black phone.
Yep. Or yeah, the moving
It's
red
not
and
even
black
screen, right? The moving red and black screen.
Yeah, and I wouldn't even say screen. It was just red and black that was a screen. I don't know if there was a better way to describe that.
So I see a red field with black circles on it moving across the bottom right-hand corner of my visual field.
Yeah, the bottom left.
Okay.
Yeah, if I had to paint a picture, I guess that's how I would describe this. It would be like the canvas would be, I don't even know what would be on the rest of the canvas, but at the very bottom, it would be this little red background with the red thing with black circles on it, like just at the very edge of it.
And as far as your experience is concerned, the fact that it's at the very bottom is part of the deal.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And in terms of what you see, Amber, again, I don't know if this will make sense exactly, but is there like, am I seeing, a red field with 2 black circles or 10 black circles, or does the number not really matter?
Yeah, the number doesn't really matter. There were multiple of them. They're just kind of all around, and some were like at the edge of the screen. It was like they were, like half circles because, whatever. But the number isn't really relevant. It was just kind of, and it was like, and they weren't like aligned nicely or anything like that. They were kind of not scattered. There was order to it, but it was almost like a pyramid kind of deal, the way that they were arranged. I don't know if that's relevant either, but that's kind of what was happening, like in the experience. It's kind of like what I was seeing, and it was like, and it was almost like, how would I describe this? Like, I was seeing it angled, like if you hold a phone like this, right, so you can see the screen flat. I was holding the phone like this, so I was like grazing the top of it. Like how it looks, well, to me, I don't know how it looks to you, but how it looks in this camera here is actually almost exactly like how it was going, like right like that. It was pointing towards the ceiling, the screen.
Is that the way it was in reality? So I'm seeing the phone the way it is in reality.
Oh, well, that's how it was in my experience. I have no idea how it was in reality, actually. That's how it was in my experience. Yeah, it was like the screen was to the ceiling, and I was seeing it in the bottom left, like how it is in this screen, and it was just kind of seeing it from this weird angle.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there anything else in your experience at the moment?
Nope, that's it.
And is it the redness or the blackness or is it the circles on the screen and the circles happen to be black and the screen happens to be red? Or...
Yeah, the screen just happens to be those colors. And
so what I see is mostly shapes, circles on a background.
mm-hmm.
And the background happens to be red, but I'm not drawn to the red.
Or the circles.
Or the color of the circle.
Nope.
I think I'm good.
Me too.
Number 5.
Beat 5. Okay. So beat 5, I was using my laptop and I was listening to the TV. Like the TV was playing, but I wasn't watching it. Okay, and at the moment of the beep, I was looking at the like top portion of my window. It was as a fact of the universe, it was black and gray, and in my experience, it was kind of like this black-gray color. Not black and gray, it was this black-gray color. It's like the color of an incognito window. And at the same time, I was hearing from the TV, which actually wasn't correct, but I was hearing this character from Family Guy saying, "You have a baby?" ? Exclamation point. It was just like this girl character, and she was saying that to somebody else. And yeah, that's kind of my entire experience. And as context and explanation, what I was hearing, like that had happened a few seconds ago, but I was kind of still stuck on it. Yeah.
And which of these experiences is more present to you, if that makes sense?
I think the hearing was just a little bit more
60-40-ish, 55-45,
65-35.
65 to the hearing.
Yes.
And so I hear, "You have a baby?"
Yeah.
And I hear that as if it were happening now, but it actually happened a second or two ago.
Yes. So this was one I actually wanted to ask some of these clarification questions for myself. In my experience, it was present to me as physical hearing, but I don't know if like actually experientially I don't know even if this is important, but if I was just kind of stuck there. Because the idea of what was happening in the scene was this guy now has a baby. But I don't know if that's relevant to the experience or anything. Like, I guess maybe that's more of an explanation. I'm just trying to be careful to not mess this up. But, yeah. I don't know if that made any sense either, but.
So I'm not sure I understood what that was about. So let me say what I've got so far, and you tell me how close I am or where I'm wrong or whatever. More than half of my experience is on what I'm hearing. And what I'm hearing, the TV show has been talking about the guy who has a baby, and that's sort of a surprise to the person who's speaking. And the person who's speaking says, "You have a baby?" And my sense is that scene actually occurred a bit ago, a second or two ago, but I'm hearing it like it's happening now.
Yes.
And does it seem like I heard it a second ago and I'm still hearing it? Or does it seem like I'm sort of hearing it for the first time and in reality it happened a second ago? My hearing is just delayed by a offset of some kind.
Yeah, it's like I'm hearing it for the first time and it actually happened however long ago, yeah.
Sort of like the loudspeaker in the stadium or something. I know
Yeah.
the singer has sung the national anthem a little bit ago, but the sound hasn't gotten to me yet.
Yes, like when there's that weird delay, yes. But that delay, the idea of the delay was not present. That's more of a fact of the universe. But yeah, that's kind of what happened.
And it's a pretty long delay. It's not a stadium kind of delay. It's a second or
yeah. It was a pretty long delay. Yeah,
substantial delay.
Mm-hmm.
But the delays, oh, sorry. Go ahead, Doctor.
Go ahead.
Oh, but the delay, do I experience this as a delayed hearing? Or is that just, that's a fact of reality?
That's a fact of reality. It's a delayed hearing, yes.
At the moment I'm hearing, you have a baby? And
Yep, in that character's voice and everything like that. But yeah, it's as a fact of the universe and as context, I guess, it's very much, that statement was uttered and now it's more of an explanation going on between the two of them. But yeah, that's gone. Yeah. On the screen, yes. Or in the show, maybe, because I wasn't watching the screen.
And then you gave an explanation about I guess it was an explanation about in the show the guy's got a baby or whatever. And is that part of the experience or is that just the background?
That's more of the background. That's more why there was that statement being uttered. I guess that's not really relevant. Now that
as far as your experience is concerned, you're hearing the character say you've got a baby, and that's a meaningful thing to you. You know what's going on in the scene. The guy's got a baby and nobody knew that he had it or whatever. And
yeah. Mm-hmm. Like I knew the episode and I knew what was kind of going to happen and going to happen and going on at that moment. So yeah, I knew all that going into the whole thing. So.
And 35, I'm looking at the laptop.
Uh-huh.
And you said the top portion of the window. That's a window in the laptop, I've gathered. That's a window on the screen, not an outside window or whatever.
No, it was the window on the screen. It was the Google Chrome. It was like it was actually the incognito Google Chrome colored window.
And did you say that the here again that what you see is not actually what's there?
No, that one is like I'm sorry, there's like I don't know what that is. I think there's like a cement truck going up my hill. There's what I'm seeing is actually there, but it's just a portion of it. Like I'm because actually what I was doing, this is context, what I was doing was I was clicking back onto that tab, because when you click on like a window and it kind of like shifts the windows. So I was clicking back on it. So I was looking at the top portion, like above the tabs, so I could click back on it. But I don't think that was more of an explanation. But what I was seeing is just like the gray portion of that, like that. It's really a sliver, but that's all I was seeing.
And by that's all I was seeing, do you mean that I don't even see what's inside the window at all? All I see is the gray sliver, which is the top of the window, but all I see is the sliver?
Yes, like the tabs, like I'm not paying attention to the tabs even that were up there. I think I had maybe 3 or 4 tabs up there, and I wasn't paying attention to that. I wasn't paying attention to the words in the tabs. I wasn't even paying attention to what was like the big portion of the screen. It was just that gray part.
And by not paying attention, do you mean they're there and I can sort of see them, but I'm more interested in this gray bar for whatever reason? Or do you mean they're gone?
They're gone, not there. Nope.
So all I see is the gray bar.
Yes. With like, I don't want to say I see just the gray bar. I feel like there was like the indiscriminate details of one tab, but I can't even be specific about that. Like definitely there was something else going on down there, but I can't be like at the very edge, but I can't be specific about what that is because it was pretty much gone.
And you said, I think there were 3 tabs.
3 or 4 tabs. I'm not even sure how many actual tabs there were, but in my experience, there was like 1. It was like, because the mouse was just over the arrow or whatever, I wasn't even seeing the arrow. It was just over like 1 tab where it was, so my focus was in that area. But I was, sorry, I keep putting...
So I've completely obliterated 2 or 3 tabs.
Yes.
Leaving 1 tab sort of partially present and partially indeterminate.
Yes.
And this is a seen thing. It's not like the tabs are there and I'm just not paying attention to them. It's that in my experience, the tabs are not there.
Yes.
Obviously, the tabs are there on my screen, but as far as my experience is concerned, they're just not there.
Yes. Metaphorically, it's like I had taken a screenshot of the whole screen and I cropped everything else out. Like I just cropped it to this little portion of it.
And the point that you're making by that is to say, it's not like I'm just sort of not paying attention to that. It's that I've deleted it.
Yes.
That's what I understood.
Yeah.
Okay.
And back to the delay, I guess.
Okay.
How long do you think this delay was? Are we talking about a second, 10 seconds, half a second? And I'm not talking about stopwatches here. I'm just in the ballpark of.
Right. Maybe a second or two. Two would be is kind of on the very high end. But yeah.
Okay. I think I'm good.
I'm good too. We're a little bit over 3 o'clock, but I think we have 1 beep left, right? So is everyone good on time?
I'm good.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So let's go for it then, Amber. Beep 6.
Okay. So beep 6. I was watching a YouTube video on a TV, and this guy, whatever, he was promoting features of his card game that he was selling, I guess. And he was kind of he's a artist, so he had animations kind of popping up. It was like, this is a feature, this is this, blah blah blah. And then at the moment of the beep, I was looking at this like gold bug thing. Like, what is that movie? Just to be super descriptive of what this bug looked like. It almost looked like those bugs on A Bug's Life, those ugly black fly looking things, and it was gold. That was actually what was there, but I was only looking at that. There was a whole screen, there was all this other stuff going on, but that's all I was looking at. But yeah, that's what it was like this gold bug looking thing. But it's kind of it.
And when you say like that's all I'm looking at, is this like the seeing of the gray bar in the last beep? Like everything else is gone, I'm just looking at the bug?
Yes.
And is there anything, am I looking at the bug or am I looking at the gold color, specific, I'm just seeing the bug?
I'm seeing, this aspect of what's going on. I wasn't drawn to the bug. I wasn't drawn to the gold. It was just, that was there. And it was just, I guess the bigger picture is I deleted everything else.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you were talking about how it's like, as I took you saying as part of context, but this is what I want to ask on, is that it's like ugly fly looking thing. Is that like that ugliness or like disgust or something? Is that part of the seeing or present, or is that just okay? Yeah,
that was just to explain if to help maybe understand what I was seeing. I don't think that really did help, but maybe it did. I don't know.
No, okay.
I see the bug and that's it.
Yep. And it happens to be gold and that's it. Yeah. That one wasn't too much.
Okay. Yep. So that's it.
Yep.
So I'm thinking that we should call this the last one.
Okay.
At least of this cell. We can do it again later on or whatever.
Okay.
But we've got some other things coming up here, and
yes.
And so one of the possibilities is that you should be able to ask anything that you want to ask, not necessarily right now, but sometime you should have the right to have a full debrief of everything, and we can do that now, or we can do that later.
We can do that now, if that's fine with everybody. I don't mind doing it now.
Okay.
I can do it now.
So do you have questions or comments or whatever that you would like? And I guess I would also say that we can either put these or not put these on the video.
Oh, I don't know if it's relevant to like the master class or anything. That's fine. I mean,
And we don't have to decide that now. We can have the conversation, and then you can say, oh, by the way, delete that.
Okay. Yeah, if it's relevant, sure. I just more was wondering, I guess for myself, I feel like I over-explain and I'm messing it up. I was noticing that, like, as we were getting closer to this session, to 10, I felt like I was starting to over-explain the situation too much, especially because there's a difference between reality and the experience. I was trying to explain reality and I was trying to explain the experience, and then I was making it confusing. But I feel like that's just me trying to be super specific.
Well, I think we spent more time in the last half of this talking about the distinction between what you actually see and what your eyes are aimed at and what your experience is.
Yes.
I agree with that. Do you, when you say you over-explain that, do you think you made that up, or do you think that this was a characteristic of your experience and for whatever reason we spent more time talking about it?
Oh, no, I think I was just over-explaining. When I'm trying to explain my experience, I think it's just a me thing. When I'm trying to explain all of these things, I feel like I'm over-explaining. Like, I just feel like I am over-explaining. That's just me.
So let me back up one notch here. So, for example, in this last beep, the gold bug beep, I understood that sample was, I'm seeing the gold bug, there's other stuff on the TV, I'm not seeing the other stuff on the TV, and it's not just like that's faded out into reality, like the figure is the bug and the ground is everything else. It is that the figure is the bug and there is no ground.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So we're in agreement that that's what the experience was.
Yes.
And your comment is, well, I feel like I'm sort of over-explaining that stuff.
Well, like, I feel like I'm over-explaining it, like, when I first started talking about it, because I was like, this bug looks like this, and this, it's gold, and it's this, and it's that, and I was just saying all these other things. Like, that's really it.
So I haven't gotten the impression that you were over-explaining things.
Okay, good.
I think there's some complication when you're trying to explain, this is what's in my experience, that's what's on the screen, so things have to be doubly explained. I have to explain what's in my experience and what ought to be in my experience if I was a normal person or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I think context is less important. You know, like how much you go into context is less important than clearly distinguishing between what's directly present, what you directly apprehend versus that context, right? I think we start to get into a danger zone if you talk about context, but, you know, conflate context with experience and all that stuff.
Right.
And that's where I think get tricky, but I didn't get the sense that you were doing that in like today's sampling interview or even the others. I mean, I think, to echo what Dr. Hobart said, I think a lot of, to get to your experience involved having to talk a lot about context because we were having to disentangle, right? Like what's the real thing happening? What's the thing that your eyeballs are aimed at? But then what are you actually experiencing, right? Like there's multiple kinds of balls to juggle through that. So.
Right, because I felt like it was really important to note that my experience was distorted and what parts were distorted. I mean, I don't know if that's important in, like, you know, writing things up and whatever, but I thought that was important just because to somebody who doesn't know what's going on, it would be like, why is that part distorted compared to, like, why is that distorted? Like, why is the, like, in theory, like with the picture, why would I guess in theory, the central focus of the picture would be the person in it. Why would that be what's removed? And then the background is what's present. Like, I don't know. I feel like that would be interesting to somebody. It's interesting to me.
Well, I think it might very well be interesting to somebody. It's and I would say it's mildly interesting to me, but not interesting enough to me that I've asked about it. And and the reason about it is that would enter into the world of speculation, and
That's right.
And it's hard enough just to get it straight.
Yes.
I think we struggled for quite a few hours just to try to nail down that your experience was indeed distorted. And
Right. Yeah.
we became confident about that as we went along, but that was,
It took a while.
It took some work to get to there.
Yeah, I think now that I think about it, I think the first time we talked about a distortion in experience was with was watching the TV, and I had frozen the characters. I think, well, I don't know if that's true, but that's the first time I remember being like, I've actually distorted the experience.
I remember that as being the second one, but I'm not at all sure about that.
Okay.
I'm just saying that's what my recollection is. I'm not saying that's the way it is.
Right. No, that was interesting. I found that to be very interesting because I started to notice it later on when I was watching TV. I was distorting things. And then in recollection, or just in general in recollection, my recollection would be messed up.